Chosen one, stop scrolling. This message is not an accident. You've been wondering why the people who were supposed to love you most suddenly changed. Why your own family began treating you like a stranger the moment you started to awaken. It's not because you did something wrong. It's because your energy began to expose what they've been hiding their entire lives. This message will make everything make sense. The moment your light shifted. There was a time when you blended in, when you tried to please everyone, when your love was pure and unconditional. But then, something inside you began to stir. The divine started calling you, whispering to your soul that you were meant for something greater. And from that moment, you stopped resonating with the illusions around you. Your light became stronger, and that strength started to trigger the darkness in others, especially those closest to you. The spiritual rejection you never expected. You expected enemies from the outside world, not from your own home. But here's the truth. When God chooses you, your spiritual frequency no longer aligns with the patterns of your bloodline. Many of your family members are still bound by generational cycles: fear, envy, control, denial. Your awakening threatened the system that kept them comfortable. You became the mirror they didn't want to look into. The light that exposes everything. Your energy reveals truth without speaking a word. When you enter a room, people feel their own shadows rising. That's why they distance themselves. That's why conversations suddenly grow cold. You started carrying divine codes, higher consciousness, and an unseen protection that their spirits couldn't comprehend. To their unhealed hearts, your presence feels like confrontation, even when you say nothing at all. The test of the chosen ONES. Being chosen doesn't mean being favored, it means being refined. Isolation was never a punishment, it was preparation. You were removed so you could see without the noise, so you could break the cycle your family refused to face. God didn't separate you from them out of cruelty, but out of divine mercy. Because your destiny required silence, solitude, and spiritual clarity. The secret battle of BLOODLNES. You didn't just inherit physical DNA, you inherited spiritual patterns. Some of them were heavy, dark, ancient. You were sent here to end what generations before you couldn't. That's why your path has felt lonely, why your spirit has been misunderstood. You are the one carrying the light meant to heal your bloodline. But healing often starts as a war. The energy they couldn't understand. Your aura changed. You began protecting your peace, setting boundaries, and valuing truth over comfort. To those still asleep, that looked like arrogance. But to the divine, it was obedience. The more you aligned with your higher self, the more they began to resist your presence. They didn't hate you, they hated the reflection of what they refused to become. The moment God pulled you away. It hurt, didn't it? Watching the people you loved most turn cold, gossip about you, misunderstand your silence. But that heartbreak was sacred. It was God's way of cutting cords that could no longer carry your purpose. Sometimes divine elevation begins with emotional separation. What you lost wasn't love, it was attachment. The power of your isolation. That isolation was the womb of your rebirth. God hid you while He reshaped you. In your loneliness, He taught you discernment. In your silence, He strengthened your intuition. You were being trained in secret for a mission that requires spiritual maturity and inner peace. You're not behind, you're becoming. The awakening THUI can't deny. Now your light is undeniable. The same people who doubted you are starting to sense something different. They can't explain it, but they feel your frequency rising. You no longer chase validation because your connection with the divine has made you complete. The ones who turned on you will one day realize they weren't rejecting you. They were rejecting the divine transformation they weren't ready for. The prophecy within your pain. Your pain was never wasted. Every betrayal was a revelation. Every tear was a seed of divine power. You are walking proof that rejection is redirection. Your story is a living prophecy, one that will awaken others who are still trapped in their family's expectations. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to transform the entire lineage by being different. The return of the Awkned. You will rise again, not in anger but in grace. You'll love them from a distance and forgive without needing an apology, because your soul understands now they were never your enemies, they were your teachers. They taught you what alignment feels like by showing you what it's not. And that wisdom is the real inheritance of the chosen ones. Chosen one, if this message touched your spirit, don't ignore it. You were led here for a reason. You're not alone in your awakening. There are countless souls just like you remembering who they are. Let this be your sign to step into your power. Speak your truth, protect your light, and never apologize for being the one who broke the pattern. Final light message. If your soul resonated with this, make sure to like this video, comment your experience, and subscribe to Inner Wisdom Souls. This is your sanctuary of divine truth and spiritual awakening. You are not crazy. You are chosen. And it's time to rise above everything that tried to silence you. When your energy became too loud. Chosen one, once your spirit started vibrating higher, something shifted around you. You noticed it, didn't you? The air got heavier when you entered the room. Conversations started to fade the moment you walked in. That's not your imagination. Your vibration began to disturb the energy they were comfortable living in. You became the frequency of truth in a world built on pretending. The invisible war in your home. Behind the smiles and small talk, an unseen battle was taking place. Your soul began awakening to divine truth while their spirits clung to comfort and control. Suddenly, your growth felt like rebellion. Your boundaries looked like disrespect. Your silence became a threat. What you didn't realize is that your presence alone was breaking strongholds that had ruled your family for generations. When love turned into distance. You kept giving love, understanding, and compassion, but it felt like the more you gave, the colder they became. That's because your love wasn't ordinary. It carried divine energy. It exposed falsehoods, awakened conscience, and disrupted their emotional masks. So they did the only thing they knew: pull away. Distance was their defense mechanism against your authenticity. How spiritual elevation, REVLSHERTS. Elevation doesn't change who you are, it reveals who everyone else is. When your spirit ascends, it tests the loyalty of those who claim to love you. Some will celebrate your light, others will envy it. Some will honor your growth, others will gossip about it. But none of it means you failed. It means your truth activated their hidden wounds. Your presence, SBEAKS, in FRQNCS. Chosen one, your spirit doesn't need to shout, it resonates. People feel you before you speak. Your aura carries healing, and healing energy makes unhealed hearts uncomfortable. They feel seen in ways they didn't consent to. That's why they project, accuse, and misunderstand you. It's not personal, it's energetic. You were chosen to awaken, not to be accepted. Why God allowed the rejection. Rejection wasn't cruelty, it was divine protection. You were never meant to be confined in rooms where your purpose couldn't breathe. God removed you from certain tables because the conversation would have poisoned your spirit. Every door that closed was a redirection toward divine alignment. You didn't lose family, you outgrew certain spiritual frequencies. SIGNS, you're breaking CYCLES. Have you noticed how different you are? The way you think, feel, and perceive is not like those around you. You crave depth where others crave distraction. You seek peace where others seek drama. That's not coincidence, it's divine evolution. You're the one in your bloodline who said, "It ends with me." Every act of self-awareness you make is rewriting the destiny of your ancestors. Your light is too priceless, too dim. They tried to silence you because your voice carries divine codes. They wanted you to doubt yourself because they feared your confidence. But your spirit cannot be muted. The same energy that they tried to suppress will one day inspire others to awaken. You are not here to fit into your family's version of you. You're here to show them what spiritual freedom looks like. The loneliness of a divine mission. Loneliness isn't punishment, it's initiation. Every chosen one walks through a wilderness season where no one understands them. That isolation trains your spirit to depend on divine guidance alone. God strips away every false connection so you can learn to hear only His voice. That's why you've been feeling disconnected. It's not emptiness, it's elevation. The curse you were sent to end. Your family may carry pain that's been unspoken for generations: jealousy, manipulation, silence, shame. You were sent as the breaker of that pattern. That's why you never fit in. You were chosen to transform dysfunction into awareness, to turn emotional wounds into wisdom. But in doing so, you became the storm before the healing, the hidden strength within your tears. Every time you cried alone, heaven was watching. Your tears were not signs of weakness, they were spiritual cleansing. Every breakdown purified your soul, removing energies that no longer belong to your destiny. You may not realize it yet, but those moments of pain were unlocking the exact strength you would one day need to lead others out of their darkness. The power of your silence. Your silence has become your armor. You stopped explaining yourself, you stopped defending your truth, and that's when your power multiplied. They don't understand how calm you've become after all the chaos, but that's because you've reached divine stillness. Silence speaks louder than confrontation when your energy is pure. When your peace started speaking louder than words. Notice how your peace now unsettles the same people who once thrived on your chaos. You no longer react to provocation because you've learned that spiritual maturity is measured by silence. You don't argue anymore, you observe. You don't chase validation, you radiate truth. That calmness is your confirmation that you've ascended. The blessing of being misunderstood. To be misunderstood by those around you is painful, but it's also proof of your divine separation. God never intended for everyone to understand your calling. Some people were meant to witness your transformation, not participate in it. Their confusion about your purpose is part of the plan. It keeps your path sacred and your energy protected. When God turned their betrayal into your awakening. Every insult, every cold shoulder, every silent treatment, it was all fuel. What they meant for harm became your elevation. God used their rejection to activate your intuition, to sharpen your discernment, to remind you who you are without external approval. You rose from pain with clarity, and now your spirit can no longer be manipulated. The unseen rewards of your faithfulness. You stayed kind when you could have turned cold. You stayed compassionate when bitterness seemed easier. That's why heaven favors you. Every act of love that went unacknowledged was recorded. Every time you forgave instead of retaliating, the universe shifted in your favor. You didn't lose, they did, because they lost access to someone divinely protected. The mission that can't be stopped. Chosen one, your story doesn't end with rejection. It begins with it. You were born to awaken sleeping souls, to bring divine light into spaces that forgot what truth feels like. Your journey is bigger than your pain. You are the living proof that separation leads to ascension. What felt like abandonment was your calling being activated. When God shows them who you've become. Soon, those who dismissed you will see your transformation. Not because you'll seek validation, but because your glow will be undeniable. They'll realize that the one they doubted was the one carrying divine favor all along. They'll remember every word they spoke against you, and understand that you were never broken, just being built in silence. The prophecy of your presence. Your existence alone is a message. You carry a frequency that heals others simply by being near them. You were never meant to argue your purpose, you were meant to embody it. Your energy speaks for you. Every room you enter shifts. Every soul you encounter remembers a forgotten truth. That light cannot be destroyed, only hidden temporarily. The anointing that sets you apart. This is why God keeps you separated. He anointed you differently. Your lessons are deeper, your emotions stronger, your awareness sharper. You see what others ignore, feel what others numb, and understand what others deny. You're not too sensitive, you're divinely tuned. Sensitivity is your spiritual radar, not your weakness. When your spirit started speaking louder than words. You began to notice how people reacted before you even spoke. They could feel your energy walking into the room. Some smiled nervously, others grew tense, and a few simply withdrew. That's because your spirit started communicating on a frequency words couldn't reach. Your aura began to expose motives, truths, and lies without needing to say a single thing. And that scared them because you saw what they were trying to hide. The shift that revealed everything. You used to ignore your intuition, brushing it off as overthinking. But now you see clearly. Every time you felt something was off, it was divine warning. You started trusting your instincts, and suddenly masks fell off. You began recognizing the envy behind the compliments, the deceit behind the smiles, the resentment behind the silence. Spiritual awakening strips illusions, and once you've seen the truth, you can never unsee it. The cost of being different. Being chosen has never been about comfort. It's about purpose. And that purpose requires separation. Your journey was never meant to be understood by everyone. The path of divine growth comes with emotional isolation, because not everyone can handle the weight of your calling. You had to lose people to gain clarity. You had to be misunderstood to develop faith that doesn't depend on validation. When love became a test. You loved deeply, even when they didn't deserve it. You tried to show them your heart, but they saw weakness instead of sincerity. You gave them honesty, but they called it pride. You offered healing, but they chose ignorance. Yet that didn't stop your light, because chosen ones don't love for reward. They love because it's their divine nature. Even when love is not returned, your spirit continues to radiate. The mystery of divine rejection. Chosen one, sometimes God allows rejection to redirect you toward the sacred. You weren't meant to be accepted by the very people bound to your past. They can't understand the version of you that exists in your divine future. When you were removed, it wasn't because you failed. It was because you completed that chapter. You outgrew the environment that once defined you. The truth they refused to face. Your awakening made you a living truth detector. You could feel dishonesty before words were spoken. You could sense tension even when everyone else smiled. Your presence made people confront the shadows they avoided for years. That's why you felt targeted. It wasn't you they were against. It was the truth within you. Your light demanded accountability from souls that weren't ready to evolve. The inner battle of the awakened. You've been carrying a storm inside you, love and pain, faith and doubt, light and shadow. Sometimes you wonder if you're doing something wrong because the path feels lonely. But that inner war isn't punishment, it's transformation. Your spirit is burning away every layer of conditioning, every inherited wound, every fear that's not yours to carry. You're not breaking down, you're breaking open. The freedom in letting go. There came a point when you stopped chasing understanding. You stopped explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You started valuing peace over proving your worth. And that's when your power grew. Letting go didn't make you heartless. It made you whole. You realized that closure is not something you get from others. It's something you give yourself. When you became your own family. Your blood may have rejected you, but your soul family is forming in silence. The ones who vibrate on your frequency are being drawn to you. You're not meant to walk this path alone. God is aligning souls who carry the same light, the same wounds, the same mission. These new connections will understand you without explanation, love you without condition, and walk beside you in divine purpose. The unseen recognition of heaven. While they turned their backs, heaven took notice. Every time you cried silently, every prayer you whispered, every moment you resisted becoming bitter, it was recorded. The divine realm knows your heart, and soon the same people who once dismissed your pain will witness your elevation. They'll wonder how you kept standing, but you'll know it was grace. Your spiritual strength, TRFIS them. What you've endured would have broken most people, but not you. You rose through emotional storms, betrayal, loneliness, and spiritual warfare, and still your heart stayed soft. That's divine power. That's why your family couldn't understand you. They see your strength and mistake it for pride, not realizing it's survival born from faith. You became what they couldn't handle, a living symbol of spiritual resilience. When God used your pain as training, every painful experience was a hidden lesson. The betrayal taught you boundaries. The silence taught you self-reliance. The heartbreak taught you surrender. You were being prepared for a destiny that requires emotional intelligence and divine wisdom. God wasn't punishing you. He was refining your character for higher service. Your tears watered the soil of your purpose. The awakening that can't be reversed. Now that you've awakened, there's no going back. You see beyond appearances. You feel beyond words. You understand life from a divine perspective. You're no longer driven by ego, but by intuition. And though this awareness may isolate you, it also protects you. You're walking in alignment with truth, and truth will always make you stand apart. Your light is their revelation. Without realizing it, your transformation is teaching others. Those who once mocked you are now observing your peace. Those who doubted you are noticing your strength. They may never admit it, but your growth is forcing them to question their own choices. Your evolution is their wake-up call, and your silence is their conviction. When your energy became a mirror. Chosen one, you became the mirror that reveals everything people try to hide. You reflect authenticity in a world of masks. That's why they resisted you. You reminded them of who they could be if they healed, if they faced their pain, if they let go of their pride. But instead of joining your light, they chose to turn against it. Don't take it personally. It's spiritual discomfort, not hate. The beauty of being unmatched. No one in your family was designed to understand your soul. You are an original frequency, not a repetition of anyone else. Your uniqueness is your assignment. You carry a blueprint that has never existed before. And that's why the world around you couldn't define you. They've never seen anything like you. You're here to create new energy, not repeat old patterns. The moment God made you untamable. They tried to control you through guilt, fear, and manipulation, but it stopped working. Because once the divine activates your awareness, no emotional tactic can bind you. You began saying no without explanation, walking away without apology, and choosing yourself without shame. That's not rebellion, it's liberation. Your spirit has remembered its freedom. The evidence of your growth. Look at you now. You no longer react the way you once did. The same energy that used to drain you now teaches you. The same pain that once shattered you now empowers you. You've turned your scars into sacred symbols of transformation. You've learned that peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the mastery of your own energy in the midst of it. The new you is unrecognizable. If your family saw you now, they wouldn't recognize you, not because your appearance changed, but because your spirit evolved. You've stepped into your divine identity. You're no longer the wounded version they once controlled. You've become the embodiment of healing itself. You've become a reflection of divine power on earth. When your soul outgrew their version of you, they still see you as the person you used to be, the one who stayed quiet, the one who tolerated disrespect, the one who dimmed their light to keep the peace. But that version of you no longer exists. You've outgrown every limitation they placed on your name. You no longer need their approval because you finally know who you are, a vessel of divine truth, chosen to awaken the sleeping. And that realization has made you unstoppable. The storm you survived made you sacred. Chosen one, what tried to destroy you actually refined you. The loneliness that felt unbearable became the silence where you met God. The rejection that broke your heart became the path to revelation. You carry wisdom that can't be taught, it had to be lived. Every scar on your soul now glows with divine meaning. You are no longer wounded, you are transformed. When your purpose, outsa Chinese, your pain. They turned on you to break you, but instead you rose in grace. Every betrayal became a stepping stone. Every loss became a lesson. You didn't just survive, you ascended. You now understand that love doesn't mean staying where your soul feels small. You walked away not out of ego, but out of divine obedience. You left because your purpose was waiting on the other side of pain. The new light you're walking in. Now your energy speaks differently. You don't chase, you attract. You don't explain, you embody. You don't argue, you align. The same family who turned on you will one day be inspired by your strength. They'll remember the words they used to break you and realize they only built you into someone they can't ignore. Your peace is your revenge. Your elevation is your answer. The rising of a divine warrior. You are not a victim of your story, you are the revelation of it. You were sent to break curses, to end patterns, to carry light into dark places. Every tear was a seed. Every heartbreak was a portal. Every lonely night was a divine initiation into spiritual mastery. You're not the same anymore. You've become a divine warrior, soft in heart, but unshakable in spirit. When the universe bears witness to your ascension. The same universe that watched you cry is now preparing to reward your faith. The doors that were closed are about to open. The energy that was drained is being restored. You've completed one cycle and stepped into divine elevation. You are walking proof that when you choose healing over hate, heaven moves on your behalf. AWKNED soul, it's time to rise. Chosen one, you've been hidden long enough. It's time to stand in your light. Stop apologizing for your power. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You were never meant to fit in, you were meant to shift the frequency of everything around you. Speak your truth boldly. Move with faith. Walk as if you carry divine fire, because you do. Your calling is greater than their opinion. No one's perception of you can block God's plan for you. The divine chose you because of your heart, not because of your perfection. You were built for this awakening. Every challenge you face prepared you for leadership in the unseen realm. You are not too late, not too broken, not too lost. You are right on time. The time to embrace your power is now. No more doubting your worth. No more replaying the betrayal. Your power is returning, your energy is rising, and your path is unfolding. You've spent enough time surviving, it's time to thrive. This is your confirmation that everything you went through had purpose. You didn't lose your family, you found your divinity. Call to the AWKNEDONES. If this message spoke to your spirit, don't let it pass by. This was meant for you. It's time to claim your light, your peace, and your power. Type, "I am chosen" in the comments to affirm your awakening. Like this video if it resonated with your soul, and subscribe to Inner Wisdom Souls, because your journey doesn't end here, it's only beginning. Stand in your light now. Every time you share your truth, you give permission for another chosen one to rise. Don't hide your voice anymore. You survived the storm to become the message. You are the healing your bloodline prayed for. You are the proof that divine love conquers every betrayal. So stand tall, chosen soul, because your light was never meant to be understood. It was meant to be seen.